Welcome back, sacred soul of Scorpio. If these words have found you on May 22nd, 2025, know this. They are not a coincidence. They are a signal, quiet yet unmistakable, arriving like a soft wind through the corridors of your intuition. The universe is not shouting at you today. It's whispering. Whispering to the part of you that has grown tired of the same cycle, the same ache, the same lesson disguised in different forms. This message is not a warning. It's a confirmation that what you've sensed within yourself is real, that something is ending, and that this time you are the one choosing not to return. But what's closing now is not just a chapter. It's a karmic loop. A spiritual pattern that may have echoed through decades or even lifetimes, the type of pain that's become familiar, the type of love that always leaves you doubting your worth, the kind of connection that requires you to shrink, to compromise, to perform, just to feel almost enough. You've been carrying that old story for far too long, but you've reached the edge now, and beyond that edge is something sacred. Your freedom, your truth, your becoming. There's no need to force anything anymore. There's no need to fight for space in places that were never meant to hold you. You've done the inner work, Scorpio. You stared into the shadow, you sat with the silence, and you've begun to understand that healing isn't always loud. Sometimes, simply the choice to no longer betray yourself. To say, I'm done with this pattern. I'm not available for it anymore. So take a breath, not one of hesitation, but one of reclamation. Feel your body soften. Let your heart open just enough to feel the relief in those words. It's over. The karmic loop is done. And what comes next isn't about returning to the past or rushing into the future. It's about meeting yourself here and now with reverence, with compassion, with the quiet knowing that this time you are choosing differently. And now let us walk together into what this day is truly offering you. A familiar door is closing now, Scorpio. One that has remained open for far too long, allowing old energies to drift in and out of your life like ghosts that never quite leave. For years, perhaps even lifetimes, you've been caught in a repeating rhythm. You give, you bend, you stay. And yet somehow, you're still left feeling unseen, unheard, or unloved. The faces may change, but the emotional architecture remains the same. Whether it's a partner who couldn't meet you where you are, a family member who only knows how to take, or a friend who vanishes when you need them most, the pattern has been looping, quietly eroding your spirit. One unmet need at a time. You've tried harder than most. You've offered patience, forgiveness, explanations, even silence, all in the hope that maybe this time it would be different. That maybe if you just gave a little more, softened a little more, someone would finally stay. But all this effort has done is wear you thin. What was once resilience has turned into fatigue. What felt like devotion began to resemble self-betrayal. And somewhere in the middle of loving others so deeply, you forgot how to offer that same love to yourself. But the energy of this day, May 22nd, 2025, is whispering something different into your spirit. Not loud, not dramatic, just a steady, gentle truth. You don't have to keep going back. You don't have to keep participating in the same emotional contracts that leave you depleted. You don't have to keep saying yes to people who only want parts of you, or love you conditionally, or stay close only when it's convenient for them. There is no prize for endurance. There is no redemption in remaining where you are not valued. Today, the penguin appears as your spiritual guide, not merely a symbol of loyalty, but of conscious loyalty, the kind that knows who is worthy of your time, your energy, your essence. Penguins survive in harsh climates by relying on one another. They huddle for warmth, protect their young together, and choose their mates with intention. They don't give their energy recklessly. They give it where it matters. And that's the lesson Spirit is bringing to you now. Not all connections deserve your warmth. Not every relationship deserves your healing hands. This moment in time is not about shutting down or becoming cold. It's about discernment. It's about recognizing that your love, your presence, your loyalty, they are sacred currencies. And it's time to stop spending them on places that offer no return. You are not here to save others at the expense of yourself. You are not here to sacrifice your peace for people who only meet you halfway. You are here to walk with those who walk beside you, not those who drag behind, pulling you back into a version of yourself you've already outgrown. So let the door close. Let it shut with grace, with peace, with a full heart that no longer needs permission to rest. What waits beyond it is not emptiness. It is spaciousness. It is the quiet joy of no longer trying to fix what refuses to heal. It is the deep exhale of finally choosing you. There is a fire rising within you now, Scorpio. Not the kind that consumes or destroys, but the kind that illuminates. After all the darkness you've walked through, after all the endings you've endured, something sacred is finally stirring beneath the surface. It's subtle but unmistakable, a flicker of possibility. A quiet knowing that the weight you've carried is beginning to lift, and something new, something profoundly true, is ready to be born through you. This moment is not just about release. It's about becoming. It's about that breathless pause between who you were and who you're about to be. And in that space, the universe leans in and asks you the only question that truly matters now. How do you want to live? Not just survive, not just please or perform, but truly, soulfully live. This isn't a time for resumes or roles or titles. It's not about what you've been to others, the daughter, the lover, the healer, the strong one, the silent one. None of those masks will serve you here. Because what's emerging now is not your identity, but your essence. Not what others expect of you, but what your soul longs to experience. And that longing, Scorpio, is holy. So take this moment to go inward. Listen, not to the noise of the world or the fears of your past, but to the quiet pulse at the center of your being. What does it truly want? Maybe it's peace, the kind that doesn't need explanation. Maybe it's intimacy, the kind that sees you fully without you having to shrink or hide. Maybe it's freedom from roles, from guilt, from the pressure to hold it all together. Whatever it is, let it rise, let it speak. This is your time to choose with intention, to create not from lack, but from alignment, from the parts of you that have been waiting patiently behind all the survival, the joy seeker, the dreamer, the mystic, the maker. That part of you doesn't ask, what will they think? It asks, what feels true? And that is the fire that's being reignited within you now. So tend to it gently, feed it honesty, protect it with boundaries, and trust that this spark, small as it may seem today, has the power to light the path toward a life that's no longer about endurance, but about embodiment. Not about proving, but about remembering who you've always been. There comes a moment on every soul's journey when silence becomes clarity, when what once confused you suddenly becomes obvious. Scorpio, you are standing at the threshold of that moment now. And while much of what's shifting in your life feels internal, there is one truth that is asking to be spoken out loud, perhaps for the first time. Some people are not meant to walk with you any further. You've tried, haven't you? You've listened with patience, stayed when your heart begged you to leave, explained yourself more times than you can count. You've forgiven, rationalized, given second chances, then third, then fifth. But still the pattern repeats. The same exhaustion, the same subtle erosion of your spirit, the same invisible cost you keep paying just to keep the peace, a peace that was never truly yours to begin with. It is not your job to carry the weight of relationships that constantly ask you to shrink, to silence your needs, or to doubt your own voice. It is not your responsibility to remain available to people who only reach for you when it's convenient, who twist your compassion into obligation, or who leave you feeling like love is something you must earn. These are not sacred bonds. They are emotional contracts built on imbalance, and you, Scorpio, have outgrown them. Now's the time to draw a line, not out of anger, but out of deep, unwavering love for yourself, to say, this is where I end and you begin. To honor your own emotional boundaries, not as a wall, but as a doorway, one that leads to relationships that nourish, uplift, and expand you. You do not need to justify your distance. You do not need to apologize for protecting your peace. The truth is, if a connection costs you your sense of self, it's too expensive. Your soul is tired, not because you're weak, but because you've been strong for far too long. In places that never offered you rest, you've been holding space for others while your own light flickered in the background. But no more. This is your turning point, a moment to choose yourself, not in defiance, but in devotion, to step back, not as a retreat, but as a return to you. And in that space of quiet reclamation, everything begins to change, because when you stop trying to heal what isn't yours to fix, you create space for what is truly aligned to find its way in, effortlessly, clearly, and without confusion. That is the freedom your soul has been asking for, and now, finally, you're ready to receive it. There's something happening beneath the surface now, Scorpio. Something you may not be able to name, but can certainly feel. Maybe it shows up as fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. Maybe your body aches in strange places. Maybe your mind feels foggy, your emotions heightened, your usual routines suddenly foreign. You're not imagining it. You're not broken. You are shedding. This is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough, a spiritual recalibration. You are in the process of what many call ascension, a shift in frequencies so profound that it rearranges everything from your physical vessel to your emotional landscape. The old ways of being, the beliefs, habits, identities, they're crumbling. Not because you failed, but because they've completed their purpose. Their time in your life has come to an end. If you've looked in the mirror recently and whispered, "I don't recognize myself anymore," you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not wrong. You are not who you used to be. You're no longer vibrating at the level of who you were when you accepted less, tolerated more, or silenced your truth. That version of you, the one who survived by bending, shrinking, enduring, is dissolving now. And in its place, something more aligned, more sovereign, more whole is rising. This transition may feel disorienting at times. You may grieve aspects of yourself or your past, even as you celebrate your evolution. That's natural. Growth is not always graceful. But the universe wants you to know that what you're experiencing is not chaos. It's initiation. You are not losing yourself. You are finally meeting yourself, not as the world expects you to be, but as your soul always knew you were becoming. So be gentle with your body. Be patient with your process. This is not the time to rush or force clarity. This is a sacred unraveling, a divine rebirth. Let the layers fall. Let the confusion come. And then let the light in. Because who you're becoming isn't found through logic. It's found through surrender, through trust, through the quiet courage of saying yes to what your spirit already knows. And that is exactly the point. And if you're still here with me now, listening, feeling, breathing these words in, then let me say this to you from the deepest part of my heart. I see you. I feel the quiet ache of everything you've outgrown. And I honor the courage it takes to stand exactly where you are, between the ashes of who you were and the whisper of who you're becoming. To know what it feels like to shed an old skin. It's not always graceful. Sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion. Sometimes it feels like you're drifting in the in-between, no longer resonating with your past, but not quite anchored in your future. It can be lonely, not because you're truly alone, but because so few can understand the sacred unraveling that's happening within you. But please hear me when I say this. There is nothing wrong with you. The emptiness you feel is just the space being cleared for something more aligned. The heaviness, it's your soul releasing lifetimes of survival. And the strange sense that you don't recognize yourself anymore, that's because you're finally remembering who you were always meant to be before the world told you to be anything else. So take your time, beautiful soul. Don't rush this. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be anyone else's version of healed, successful, or strong. You only need to keep choosing yourself gently, quietly, consistently. Every day you do, the path becomes clearer. Every time you rest, your energy recalibrates. Every time you say no to what no longer fits, you say yes to something higher. I, Selena, am walking this path too. I don't speak from perfection. I speak from presence, from having lived the dark nights, the broken pieces, the quiet rebirths. And I want you to know I am proud of you, not for being flawless, but for being true, for staying, for showing up, for choosing light even when it hurts. Whenever you feel lost, remember this: your soul always knows the way. And I'll be right here in this sacred space, walking beside you every time you need a reminder that you are not alone. Until next time, take care of your heart. The new world you're stepping into is already waiting for you.